Welcome to the Content and Cocktails mini class. I'm your host Amber, and I'm so excited today because we're going to be talking about how to create your content. If you're not familiar with me, I'm Amber, the website plug, and I help you build an online presence with web design, brand consulting, and digital products. So let's hop right into it. First off, we're going to talk about what is content and why is it so important. So content is the medium or the media that you choose to use to communicate your brand's values, mission, and vision. It's so important because it helps you educate your audience, it helps you build authority, rank higher with SEO, build a following, and get more leads for less. So that's very important, right? Now we're going to talk about what's a content calendar. So a content calendar is just an editorial calendar, and it's made up of many components. So you have your partnerships, your planned sales, your announcements, your launches, engaging and shareable content, right? And then you have your OG content. So the content that you create yourself. So like your blogs, your think pieces, videos, and etc. Okay? So one of the questions that I always get is, do I need a content calendar? So the answer is, no, you don't have to have a content calendar, but I recommend that you do. And the reason why I say that I recommend that you have a calendar is because you won't miss important dates. You already know what you're doing and when you're doing it. So you can also see what's going on. So you can tell if you haven't posted that much or what type of content you have used. It will help you do your content audits, right? There are many benefits to having a content calendar. So these are content calendars, and you'll notice that they look very different. Now, as you can see over here, it is the content, when it will be posted, what kind of content it is. But this is basically the planning stage of it, okay? But this here is the actual turnout of all of this. It is put into place. It's already scheduled for a particular time, and you actually have the content. It's already created and scheduled, okay? So now that you see what a content calendar is, we're going to work backwards, and I'm going to help you create one. So first things first. Before you plan, you have to make a goal. Now, I know that you have probably taken classes and everyone goes over the SMART goals, but just in case you haven't, I'm going to go over it again. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. And your main goal is going to help navigate your content. So let's take a look at an example goal, okay? So the goal for this brand is brand awareness. Here's the example. They want to increase engagement on an Instagram page by adding 100 followers in 30 days, and this will be measured by likes, followers that stay, comments, and mentions. So this is a SMART goal because it is very specific. It is being measured, so it's measurable by 100 followers. Okay, it's attainable because you can do 100 followers in 30 days. You can actually do more. It is relatable, so it's relatable to the bigger goal, which is brand awareness. And it is time-based, so you're going to do it in 30 days. And then you also have the way that you're going to measure it, of course, by likes, followers that stay, comments, and mentions. So now that you have your big goal, I want you to think about it. What are you going to do to get to this goal, and how are you going to do it? So that's going to get your brain going in which direction that you want to go. And you're going to start to brainstorm at this point, because the next thing we're going to do, we're going to start planning the content. So before we start planning, though, we need to get some details. Details bring clarity. So do you have any announcements or any special dates, launches, sales, holidays for that particular month? And what are some mandatory touch points? So what do you absolutely have to touch on during this month? Okay. And you're going to create your posting schedule. So your posting schedule for this example, we're going to use Instagram. So we're going to post on Instagram 3 times daily, 5 times a week at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Very specific, right? We know exactly when and where. Okay. So your schedule depends on your analytics. You won't post, say for example, you won't post at 3 p.m. if a lot of your clients or a lot of your activity is going on at 8 p.m., right? You'll post around that time where you're getting engagement, when people are interacting with you. So there is no like perfect time. There's more of what's perfect for you and what's going on with your business and the platform that you choose. So we're now on step 2, planning out your content. Earlier, we talked about your goal, and I asked you to think about what you were going to do and how you were going to do it to get your brain going, getting your creative juices flowing. So now we're going to start coming up with the ideas. So you're going to create content based on your buyer's persona, because you should have more than one, and the stage of the journey that they're in. So let's think, what worked well last month? So you're going to do an audit on your content that you posted last month. What went well? What did not go well? Okay? What does your audience want to know, or what do they need right now? What's trending right now? Now, I do want to stop and talk to you about the trending topics. You only want to use the trending topics when it has something to do with your niche, however you say it. You want to make it make sense. Y'all remember that time KFC sat up there and tried to do the Black Lives Matter, and they had like the chicken drum and it was up there doing this. They were trying to be trendy and it went wrong. Don't do that. Don't be KFC. Make sure it connects. Make sure that you check your tone, you check your voice, you check your intentions, and you check the vibes. Like, don't do it just because it's trending, okay? Make it connect. So what has your audience asked you for? Have they slid in your DMs and say, hey, could you talk about this? Or have they had any questions about your content? You can talk about that. What content can you repurpose? Again, going back to the content you have already posted and already used, how can you repurpose it? And then my favorite one is social listening. So what are people talking about? What are they saying? There are various sources, and I go through each source in the paid version of this class, Content and Cocktails. So let's talk about your content cocktail mix. Now remember, your content mix should be based on the platform you choose and how your clients like to consume information. So what's the purpose? Why are you creating this? How does this connect to your bigger goal? Example, to engage, to educate, to entertain. Everything has to have a purpose. Okay? And what kind of format will you use to show this purpose? So these are your content formats or buckets. So for example, polls, tips, offers, infographics, blogs, podcasts, any type of audio, things like that. So your 4 different type of content buckets. Now I recommend only doing 4 simply because it's a lot to kind of keep up with. If you had 10 different content buckets, but if you feel like you can handle it, if you become a pro at this, you can add as many content buckets as you please, right? So step 3, actually creating the content. So I use apps like Canva, Photoshop, and Illustrator to create my content. Now when you're creating your content, it's best to batch create. Batching your content will help you save time and frustration, and it will help you stay focused. Now, you will want to start with the micro batching, and this might be either focusing on one format. So say, for instance, how we talked about one of the formats could be blog posts, or one topic. So you can have the topic of, how to color hair, right? If you have the topic of how to color hair, you can make all your different content pieces just off the one topic. So you can make your blog posts, your polls, how-to videos, and maybe something else, right? Or you can create, and that would be for like 1 week, or you can create a bunch of videos at one time, or a bunch of blog posts at one time, okay? But don't try to do too much at once, because it's easy to get overwhelmed when you're trying to do too much, right? So work on your workflow and gradually add on. And don't be afraid to ask people for help. There are people who are willing to help you, and they're more willing if you pay them, right? So don't be overwhelmed with trying to do too much of the batching. So step 4, scheduling the content. So you're almost done. Use apps like Hootsuite, Planoly, SmartQueue, or the platform's native scheduler to schedule your content. You should have your content created and exported at this point. Now all you have to do is upload it to your preferred social media scheduler. Now earlier you decided on a posting schedule, and now I want you to stick to it. After you have created it, you have planned it out, you've uploaded it, you've published it. Now it's time to audit the content. After you post, you can analyze the data and compare it to the goals and your KPIs. The stats will give you a good idea of what you need to stop, start, or continue. So if you're not sure about what to do with the data that you found, here are some simple reflection questions you can use to help you decide if it was helpful or not. So what kind of content did well? What didn't go so well? Did you hit any of your goals? Or what can you change? Okay, and then you'll compare it to your KPIs. Do you need to change your KPIs? At this point, you're almost done. After you analyze it, you can repurpose your content and use it on other platforms. Then you rinse and repeat. It's simple as that. That was pretty simple, right? So you have planned your content, you have created your content, you've scheduled it, and at this point you have audited it. So now I'm going to answer some of the questions that you guys have asked me in the group. What is it content-wise that we should always have to get people to buy from you? The main thing that you have to have is a marketing plan. There isn't a single piece of content that's always going to convert them into a buyer. You have to educate them. You have to entertain them, engage with them. There are many things and many stages that you have to go through before someone can before they're actually willing to buy from you. They have to see it over and over again. They want to see proof. They want to see that other people have used it. There are many components that you always have to have. So my recommendation is to always be on point. Always have that marketing plan going. Always have content for each of your buyer stages, which is awareness, consideration, and decision making. So you want to make content for each of those stages, right? So they'll always be able to find like, oh, okay, there's a testimonial. Oh, okay, someone else used it and they loved it, right? So you always want to have a marketing plan. You want to have your own social media plan just for your particular products and services. So best specific wording and content. So this one is a little tricky to answer, but you always want to use your brand's lingo, because the way that we talk, it changes all the time. So you don't want to be stuck on particular words. You just want to make sure that your intentions are clear and you have great intentions. So keep it short and think about your voice, your tone, and like I say, your intention, and always add a call to action. Now there are specific words that you can use that will have them more likely to convert, but you just want to use words that are easy to understand in a way that your tribe or your community talk. So you don't have to go look at someone else's words and say, oh, it's working for them. There's an entire strategy behind it. There are strategies for particular communities. So you might want to consult with a copywriter, because words, they make magic out of words. So you might want to consult with one of the copywriters in the group. Let's see. So what type of content are people are tired of? I just pasted it, y'all. I didn't type this up. I just copied and pasted y'all answers. Y'all questions. So they're tired of seeing the same thing over and over and over. One example that I always talk about is the hair industry, and that's because everyone is doing the same thing. But a better example right now would be maybe the lashes or anything in the cosmetic or beauty field. Everybody's doing the same thing. They're putting in the pill bottles. They're putting it in the pill bottles. They're doing it in like the little suitcases. They are doing the same thing over and over. When you do something, I want you to do it first, and I want you to go hard. Only way that you're gonna really be able to tell if they're tired of it is if you ask them, or if you're like socially, I call it cyber stalking. But if you're listening socially, you'll be able to tell what they're tired of, what they're not interacting with anymore, what's hype. Okay, so whatever is on like your explore page, that's what's popping. If it's not on there, more than likely it's not popping. like I said, there are a bunch of resources that you can look to see what is popping. But what's not popping is the things that you see on your TL nobody's looking at. Nobody's hitting like, they're not sharing it or anything like that. They're just tired of seeing the same thing being done the exact same way. So what's the best, in your opinion, times to market your content? So as we talked about earlier, you have to use your analytics to make a decision, but always market through your content. Always. I'm not saying have all sales posts, because it's not always about selling, but it is about persuading and getting in front of them and making sure that you're in the front of their brain when your particular niche or niche, however you say it, comes to mind, right? So just use your analytics to make a decision. There's not a best time. And plan ahead. Absolutely plan ahead. If you see what's trending, what's popping, you can add it in. Or if you see the trend has not gone so far, you can take it out. And that's another thing I wanted to add in when we were talking about scheduling your content. My recommendation is that you don't go any further than a month ahead. There are so many things that quickly change. So you don't want to be stuck with a whole bunch of content that's irrelevant months and months ahead. So take your time, do it maybe 2 weeks at a time, but at the most a month. Now, one thing that you can schedule out more than a month would be your evergreen content. Now, evergreen content is the content that's going to be relevant to your industry no matter what. So for instance, for the hair industry, I'll keep up with this. One of the things that would be evergreen content for the hair industry would be how to color your hair, right? No matter what stage you're in, it's always going to be relevant because people are always coloring their hair. It's something that almost everyone who's doing anything with their hair will want to do, right? It's not themed, so it doesn't have like a Christmas theme or anything like that. So it can be used at any time of the year, at any phase in a buyer's journey. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed the class. If you have any more questions, you can put them in the comment section below. However, if it is a question that requires me to go into great detail, it will be in the paid version of this class. Thank you.